Welcome guys to another video here on the ManUnitedDaily YouTube channel, and in this one I'll be talking about the whole topic of the United manager, and is answering perhaps the question that everyone's been talking about recently, especially after last night's defeat to Sunderland in the League Cup semi-final as well, where is he still the right man, or was he ever the right man in the first place? Obviously, there was a long process since Sir Alex kind of announced his retirement. I remember it very well. I was, sitting around with a group of friends, and then, my mum texted me saying that Sir Alex is planning to retire. It was definitely a shock, because there was a few of us who are United fans in that group, and yeah, we were all just a bit surprised that it was announced. And the night before, obviously, I was on Twitter with you guys, and there was really intensive rumours going around that tomorrow and this season, or last season I should say, was going to be his last one. So it was a bit of a shock, to be honest. And his successor always kind of like the worst kept secret, really, because from a few years ago you could tell that David Moyes was going to be the chosen successor, and that's why the United supporters has dubbed him the chosen one. And you can see it now with a banner at Old Trafford with his face with the the name the chosen one. Obviously, to answer whether he was the right candidate in the first place is obviously a very hard question. The club is always built on stability, and that has been given a success over the years with the philosophy of Sir Matt Busby, building a young team from the academy, and also Sir Alex Ferguson, handling that kind of like regime to the next level, really, because he had to deal with more personality and character in the 20th and 21st century. So in that regard, Sir Alex has done a really remarkable job handling and staying at the club for so long, in regards to the kind of like I said, the development of the financial side of the football side as well. So it was a very difficult choice, but stability, definitely the philosophy of the club. Numerous ex-players, Gary Neville, David Maynard, that come out on Twitter saying that David Moyes will be given at least 3-4 years at least for a good part of his 6-year contract, in order to show that he has mastered the game, and he is a really good candidate to replace Alex Ferguson on a very permanent basis. Obviously Salek appointed David Moyes as his successor. Obviously there has been debates about whether Sir Alex should have been given that option, but I think because of the stature of Sir Alex Ferguson and the job he's done at the club, I think that was kind of like his last wish, and I don't think no one could argue that he deserved or gained that ability to pick whoever his successor was. Obviously there was other candidates, I believe, because before Sir Alex was announcing it, no one expected it to be last season. Obviously there was going to be, it was inevitable that he was going to retire, obviously, but you didn't realise, because of how well he looked, how hungry he still looked, at how soon he was going to retire. So there was a lot of debate, and I thought Guardiola, with the sabbatical and learning English, staying in New York, I thought that was the connection I was looking for, that Guardiola was just basically waiting for Sir Alex's job. But it came as a disappointment for us, obviously, because he chosen to do a Bayern Munich. I think that was a good move for Guardiola himself, but in regards to United, there were still other candidates. Obviously, the big one was Jose Mourinho, who consequently going back to Chelsea. I think Jose Mourinho wanted a job. I think from his relationship with Sir Alex, you can tell that Mourinho, he loves the limelight. But I think that worked against him, to be fair, at United, because Sir Bobby Charlton still has a massive say, because he's one of the ambassadors and directors at the club. He wants the stability of the club to be maintained, and I think he saw Jose Mourinho as too much of a disruptive and abrasive character in order to represent the club well. Obviously, Mourinho hasn't done himself well at Real Madrid. All those incidents with the Barca coach, eye gouging with Tito Villanova, etc. The hotly debated topics between him, Guardiola. It was just too much of a sideshow for him, and obviously Sir Bobby Charlton didn't not like that. But my actual candidate when the job came to the fore was Jurgen Klopp. I thought he did a brilliant job at Dortmund. Obviously he built a great side, and he promotes a lot of youth team players from Dortmund, and so I thought that was the perfect fit. But looking at it then, I think David Moyes was the logical, but you could argue it was a safe choice as well, because he obviously has experience in the league. Overachieved with the tight budget he had at Everton, and so another British manager bring kind of that similar philosophy, I guess, as Sir Alex and Sir Matt Busby. So I think it was a safe and logical choice. But if I had my wish, I probably would have asked for Jurgen Klopp. Jurgen Klopp, he can get abrasive, but I think the style of football, it's not just good on the eye, but it's just how hard the team works as well. So I really would have wanted Jurgen Klopp to come, but back then I think David Moyes, like I said, was a safe and reasonable choice, to be fair, because like I said, he had experience and so looked to be the logical replacement for Sir Alex Ferguson. Next up, I think we have to talk about the transfer window that happened last summer. To sum it up, it was just a total mess, really, because David Moyes, to be fair, he took the job up officially from the 1st of July, so there wasn't a huge amount of time, because to be fair, he wanted to give everyone a turn to see where his weaknesses. I think he did identify that the midfield and the left back was definitely an issue. There was a lot of talk about Cesc Fabregas. I think there was a lot of optimism because of the way he was utilised towards the back end of the season by Barcelona. But if you hear to respectable Spanish journalists, Guillem Balaguer, etc., and Terry Gibson as well, they all said that it was a really, really long shot, and either really a slim chance or none at all. So I thought I didn't have my optimism up, to be fair. But I thought that was a bit too kind of high. But obviously, with the other targets gone, with Thiago, I thought that was a definitely doable deal. Kevin Strootman was another target that I thought we definitely should have got. Those two together now, think about it, how much quality they would have added to our midfield. And there was also talk of Gareth Bale, the £100 million bid, potentially to outbid Real Madrid. So obviously that proves that we have the money and the ambition to go to the very best players, but we just doodle around too much. And in the end we got Marouane Fellaini for £27 million. There was a collapse deal of Fabian Contral in the last minute, and also Ana Herrera. So obviously a lot of just a complete mess. Obviously I don't think we can all blame on David Moyes alone. There was a monumental shift as well at the chief executive role, with David Gill going out with Ed Woodward coming to replace him, and that was to a lot of people now that was a huge mistake, leaving your chief executive and your manager gone at the same time. I think it would have been the perfect transitional kind of management if David Gill had stayed to give David Moyes a bit of support in his first ever window to get the transfer deal done as quickly as possible, not to just ponder around and ultimately at our detriment, really, because if you look at a team now, it's weak on numbers, and the quality, is it up there, is it not? It's really debatable, because obviously last year majority of the same squad, really, apart from Will Zaha, who hasn't featured, and Adnan Januzaj. Obviously it was the squad who won the championship, so they are massively underperforming. But the transfer window did not help David Moyes at all, because just the pondering around really did not help, and it showed that the club, yes, interested, but action speaks louder than words, and I'm afraid in the last summer it was just mostly words. So that was a massive disappointment for a lot of United fans. I think we all thought that this was the chance to spend big in order to send out a message that it's not going to be the end of United, and it's not going to be a repeat of Liverpool Mark II, Sirsa, 1990s, where they totally collapsed, and they're starting to rebuild now into a major title contender. We need to address this problem quick and effectively. So last summer was really a joke from a United fan's point of view, because we was linked to so many people, and ultimately we got the one that we all thought could have come in first of all. So, and obviously David Moyes, I think he knows Marouane Fellaini very well, but it does to a lot of people say about the kind of like, why would you shop at Everton? He's trying to bring that Everton philosophy, and it doesn't work at United. So I think that could be backfiring, and Fellaini himself got injured, hasn't performed very well at United. So David Moyes definitely need to address it. Like I said many times on here, that in January I don't think that anything will happen, to be fair. All the good players are still in the Champions League, and why would their parent club want to release them to another competitor at that level? So I think the summer will be a big one for United, but in January I don't think we can expect too much. Anyway, so another thing that I wanted to bring up about David Moyes was that his substitution, especially around this Sunderland game. To be fair to him, in the past he has tried to be very positive in his substitutions, but at Sunderland I don't know why he left it so late to bring on Chicharito. But by the form of Tom Cleverley, who was abysmal last night, he brought on Darren Fletcher. Yes, maybe could have done it a bit earlier, but I thought 2-1 down, I thought we should have definitely brought an attacker way sooner than we did, because yes, Darren Fletcher added more stability, but what's wrong with putting Ryan Giggs back in the middle and put Wilfred Zaha on the wings to give it more pace? Our football philosophy is it's so boring at the moment. It's just basically backwards, side to side, get into the wingers, and then they just cross in. There's nothing through the middle, no imagination, no through balls, no tap in where you play around the defenders and have an easy chance for one of your strikers. It's just the philosophy right now, it looks so dead on the eye. With Salex, yes, it was majority of the time it was a very similar philosophy of football, where we relied on a lot of wingers, but right now the wingers are playing abysmal, so we had to try to go through any other avenue, but there isn't any, so we have to stick on the tried and tested, and because they're performing so poorly, we have nothing else to go on, and we just basically now rely on moments of brilliance, either from Adnan Januzaj or Wayne Rooney right now, because that speaks a lot about the way that the team's playing. I mean, Tom Cleverley, I don't know what's happened to him. He's gone off the boil. A few years ago he was exciting, fast, brought a lot of energy. I'm not just talking about the past few games where he looked lethargic, and I think that's down to tiredness, but he just doesn't look forward anymore. He just passed side to side and backwards. I mean, Carrick was the only one who's passed forward. I mean, I would happy to play Anderson instead of Cleverley last night, because Anderson, yes, he's not the fittest guy ever, and he's not gonna get the ball through 100% of the time like your Xavi or your Iniesta, but at least he tries, and majority of the time it does go for him like forward, rather than going backwards side to side. So it's a bit frustrating watching United right now. Our philosophy of football, it's a bit down, a bit very boring, very flat. I'm not sure whether that's David Moyes' fault, because I think it will be hard to imagine that he tells the team out to go out and play extremely boring football. I think David Moyes is a student of the game. He knows what good football is, but I just hope that he has the chance to make a rebuild a squad, and I think he will definitely in the next couple of years. That he needs to ingrain different kind of philosophy, I think, because yes, it's all well sticking to the basics now, but if the basics being cut out, especially with the wingers, if the supplies cross, we need to revert to another tactic. Otherwise it's becoming very one-dimensional. We can't break teams down with the quality through the middle, so David Moyes need major surgery with that. Obviously it's not going to come overnight, a change of football philosophy. I don't even know whether David Moyes can have an influence on that philosophy. I think if we had, say, a foreign manager, then it might have done with, introduction of, say, Mourinho or even Guardiola. Then the philosophy would definitely change from what it is now. But David Moyes has to work with the template he's been given. But he definitely needs some sort of encouragement provided by the players, because right now the fans are dead. When they go to Old Trafford, it's a very tetchy atmosphere, and the players feed off it, and they're not performing, that massively underperforming for him. It doesn't look like they want to play for him, so there's danger signs. Obviously, if that begins to occur, I don't think they are 100% like against him or whatever, but I'm telling you now, if one of them has to go, then I think the players will go rather than manager from our point of view. So that could be a downside, but David Moyes, I think the major thing is he need new signings, and I think he recognised that. And obviously the philosophy of the football needs to change in order to make it less one-dimensional, and so that we can reach to the top of Europe once again by playing good football, but also effective and also winning, importantly. So just a few points really. Just the last one I want to talk about was Sir Alex Ferguson's presence at the games. I think it's ridiculous to say that Sir Alex Ferguson can't go to games because he casts a shadow over David Moyes. Yes, he's gonna his success and his history at United is ingrained in the club. So I think for him, what's he meant to do? Disappear off the face of the earth in order for David Moyes and the players to play right? I think that's just ridiculous. I mean, so a man who's led the club to 27 years of success is gonna be told to go off on a 6-month cruise and let David Moyes settle into the job. I mean, Sir Alex loves the club. He just go and watch matches. From what you read in the papers and on Twitter, he does not get involved at all. And David Moyes, actually, to be fair to him, likes that he has that kind of connection with Sir Alex where he can ring him up, ask for advice, etc. So I just want to say that from people who think that Sir Alex should be banned or something from the games to relieve the pressure of David Moyes is ridiculous. So that's not an excuse in my eyes. It's just David Moyes knows that he needs major investment and improvement from the current squad, but also from potential investments in players. But from my point of view, I think every United fan who would want a kind of a tweak to the footballing philosophy right now, because the wing play is very poor, and ultimately because it is poor, we don't have a backup strategy, and that leads to a very boring one-dimensional sort of play. So we do need to have a little tweak, but I think it's major. It just that tweak will come with the added quality. We do get it in the summer with central midfield players. So it's not the end of the world. I know we've lost 3 on a bounce, and things don't look too good right now, but I do believe that David Moyes can be a success, but the board do need to back him more than ever. And I hope all of you guys, the majority of you guys on Twitter is a bit hot and cold about him. And my mum, certainly, she said that he shouldn't have been the United manager in the first place. So that speaks volumes about kind of like the Marmite situation right now at United. So let's hope I'm still a believer in David Moyes. I hope he can prove to be a success. Also, it's going to take a lot of work and reconstruction in the summer. So, So, what do you guys think of this video? I know I've kind of talked about a lot of different things surrounding that, but I do think over the long run, if we do give him time and the investments that he needs, David Moyes will prove a good manager. He needs, the war chest, £200 million or whatever. He can't be picked or shown to be picked just because of his kind of skills in all buying players on a shoestring budget at Everton, because that's not the Man United way. So I hope he proves a lot of the critics wrong, and hopefully he can bring success to the club in the near future, to say the least. So what do you guys think of this video? Please rate, Give me a thumbs up. Comment below on any of the kind of like comments I talk. Do you guys think Mourinho? Do you think David Moyes will be staying around for the whole 6 years of his contract, or do you think a replacement is imminent because of the current situation? And lastly, please do give me a subscribe, because you can catch up on a lot more content like this in the future. I'm going to be going back to university on Sunday, so I hope to give you guys another video on Friday. Obviously that will probably be my last one before I go back, so after that you won't be hearing me for a couple months or couple weeks, because what went up uni, it's gonna be a lot of work, so that will be a little break for you guys from hearing my voice until Easter. So just take care, guys, and leave a comment below and I'll try to get back to you. You can follow me on Twitter at ManUnitedDaily, or you can check the website out at ManUnitedDaily.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.